Fortnite made another season of collection books, so you know what that means, guys. I'm gonna be giving you guys some tutorials. What's going on, everyone? My name's Gumyoshi, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a breakdown of how to complete your entire character decks full of 17 NPCs by the end of this video. So let's jump right into this. Okay, so first off, I do just want to note that as of the moment, if you actually come into a battle lab and set the game mode to solid gold, you will actually be able to do all of this collection, all of this finding the characters in the battle lab. Now, I'm not sure how long this will actually last, if this is a bug, or if Fortnite will actually patch it soon. So if you're watching this like the day that it comes out, or maybe even a week after this video has come out, then yes, you can probably still go into Battle Lab and do this. But if not, then just go into standard games, and all of these NPCs will be in the same locations. Now, one thing to note is that not every NPC actually spawns in Battle Lab, so for some of these, I'll be going into the base game mode to actually show you guys where they are. So now that you guys know that some of these NPCs will be in Battle Lab and some will be in standard game mode, let's actually jump into our first one, known as Abstrakt. So basically, Abstrakt is the first NPC that we actually have. He is located right behind this building over at Retail Row. If we actually scroll in right over here, you can see directly on my marker is right where Abstrakt is. There are two different quests you can get from him. You can get a prop disguise, or you can buy an item from him. Obviously, I'm in the solid gold game mode, so his buying things aren't really going to work properly. But if you're just here to finish the collection book, so that when you actually want to find him in a normal game, you know where he is, this is exactly where Abstrakt is. Now, for character number 2, you may see that I do not have it unlocked, and that's because they are not in the game yet. When they do get released, they are going to be an alien invader that is located directly right there. So if you're watching this like maybe 2 weeks after this video is released, this character may actually be in the game, but as of the moment, it is currently impossible to actually unlock character 2, but once they are released, they will most likely be right there. Now, as I'm gliding on over, I'm going to tell you guys about NPC 3, and this is the Guggimon guy. I have no clue how to pronounce his name, so I'm just going to yellow it, go with Guggimon. But basically, this guy is actually found right over here, right next to the lighthouse inside of this giant house. And I found him the first time, and I honestly cannot remember if he is a boss or if he's just a standard NPC, so we're going to find out together in a second. So as you can see here, he is actually a boss because his thing does not appear to be looking very nice on the map, so we're actually going to grab a gun. But what is good to know about him, I'm remembering this now as I start to actually think about it, is that when you kill him, he is guaranteed to drop a purple or a gold scar. I'm fairly sure it's most of the time purple, sometimes gold, but the way that you're actually going to register him to your decks is by literally just killing him, and then he will come back to life as this little hologram NPC, and this is when you can actually interact with him. Now, what's interesting about Guggimon is he actually can tip the bus driver. I still haven't tested this out to see what it does, but I will be having a video coming out very soon about what this actually does, because I honestly have no clue yet. But this is the location of Guggimon. You can pause the video if you need to know exactly where that is. Just remember to come prepared with a weapon so that you can actually take him out and get the purple scar for free. The next NPC on the list, NPC number 4, is Sunny. Now, Sunny is interesting because she is actually found over here at Sweaty Sands, which for some reason just will not register on my map. It's just question marks. But one thing to note about Sunny is that she will patrol all the way along this pier, so you can find her really anywhere along here. But if Sweaty Sands is the place that is being invaded by aliens for that game, she will sometimes take cover in this larger building, that one right over there, and actually try and fend off the aliens on the roof. So most of the time, if this is not an alien invasion spot, just look along the pier. But if she's been getting shot at, she will actually take cover over in that building. Now, Sunny, again, can actually give the bus driver a tip, just like the Guggimon, which is, I'm still gonna keep calling him that. But she can also sell you something, obviously solid gold, so I can't actually buy it. But then you can also tame wildlife and fly a UFO as 2 quests that you can actually complete for her to get gold bars. Our 5th NPC doesn't actually spawn in Battle Lab, and he also does not fully register to your character decks once you have actually found him. Now, Bunker Jonesy is actually found directly where I am on the map. If I actually scroll over here, you guys can see that he is right down here over at this like bunker spot. Obviously, he's Bunker Jonesy, so you'll find him there. He will automatically be in the holographic form when when you find him. It's not like someone killed him before you got there. He is automatically in the holographic form. So it is a little bit weird because he doesn't fully register to your character decks quite yet, but that just probably means that he is going to be moving locations throughout the season and will most likely not be staying here the entire time. So just a good thing to keep a note about, that if you're watching this later in the season, he may be in a different location, but for now, Bunker Jonesy is actually found right down here below Misty Meadows at this little house. Now, the 6th NPC on our list is Bushranger, and this guy also does not spawn in Battle Lab, but you will find him patrolling right along this little strip of land. As you can see where I'm pinging exactly along here, he will be anywhere along this path. There is footage in game right now of me actually finding the Bushranger just to prove to you guys that this is the location that you will find him. This one can be a little bit difficult just because it is right next to the center of the map and you need to be in an actual game to get him, but this is where to find the Bushranger NPC number 6 in your collection book. The next NPC that we have, NPC number 7, is known as Dreamflower, and this person is located directly where I am on the map. I'll actually mark it for you guys. She's over at Flopper Pond is I believe what this is called, but this spot is typically frequented by an NPC every single season. You can pause the video if you don't know exactly where I am right now, but basically when you actually interact with her, she'll actually talk to you for a while, but this is where to find Dreamflower on the map. She is in Battle Lab, by the way. She's not one of the ones that is excluded from Battle Lab. If you hop into the Battle Lab with the solid gold mode enabled, then you will actually find her down here, at least for the beginning of the season. We are already about halfway through the collection book, and the 8th NPC is known as Joey, and Joey is actually found near Dirty Docks, and as you can see here, he is right on down here. I'll ping the location exactly. As you can see here, he spawns right over at this building. Again, you can pause the video if you need to, but basically, Joey is actually obviously right down here at Dirty Docks. You can interact with him. He's a fairly standard NPC, but he does have the prop disguise, which is nice if you're just trying to play around with that. He might be related to challenges later in the season, so always good to keep your eyes open, and make sure you finish this collection book as quickly as possible, just so that in later weeks challenges, you know where everyone is. For the 9th NPC that we actually have in our collection book, we have Hayseed, and this guy is at Steel Farm, and basically what you are going to need to do is come right on down to this location that I have on the map. Again, like I've said for every single one of these NPCs, you can pause the video if you don't know exactly where I am, but he will typically be inside this house. Sometimes he'll be roaming outside right near their cornfields, but when you actually go up to him and you interact with him, you will actually get this registered to your collection book, and when you actually do, you can see that he is also one that has prop disguise, apparently. Apparently, like, everyone has prop disguise. I don't know if it's just glitched in Battle Lab, it could be, but this guy is actually found right over at Steel Farm. Again, that's his location for NPC number 9, Hayseed. For the 10th NPC in the character decks, we have Marigold, the female variant of the Midas skin, and this skin is apparently going to play some part in the lore later in the season, but for now, all you need to know is that she is actually located down right over at Lazy Lake at this building. Now, she will randomly spawn sometimes on the floor, sometimes she'll be on the ceiling. She kind of just spawns wherever she wants to spawn, but she will be over at this building. If you need to pause the video to see exactly where that is, like I've said for every single NPC, then go ahead and do that. But this is Marigold. When you actually interact with her, she does actually have the mass supply drop option, which I do want to figure out what that is, because that thing seems super cool. But this is the Marigold NPC located over at Lazy Lake, and that is how to get your 10th person in your character decks finished. Now, for our first NPC in the 3rd row of the character decks, we actually have Maven, and Maven is located over at the Dinky Dish, which is actually a new location that has been added this season. So she is right over here, right in the center of this giant racetrack loop. But basically, if you need to know exactly where this is, you can pause the video, like I've said, for every single one of the NPCs, if you need more time to look at that. But basically, this is exactly where to find Maven. She will be inside of these buildings, and then you're actually able to converse with her, and she does actually have a really useful feature of being able to reveal future storm circles, which is probably going to be really good for competitive. I'm not sure if they'll actually leave that in the game for arena. We'll find out in the coming weeks, but for now, all you need to know is that Maven, your 11th entry into your character decks, is located right over here at the Dinky Dish. Now, moving on to our 12th NPC, we have Rick Sanchez, the guy from Rick and Morty. Now, this one can actually be quite difficult because there are IO guards surrounding his play. place. So basically, you're going to want to get in here and interact with him as quickly as possible. The location on the map is right over where I am right now. If you need to pause the video to see exactly where that is, like I've said for every single one of them, you can pause it and see exactly where that is. But he will always spawn in this upper room of the place, and he is actually surrounded by the IO guards. So try and land right inside of there. Jeez, I'm tripping over my words with how much of a surprise the IO guards just gave me. But basically, like you just saw, these IO guards are lasers. So you're going to want to drop in right next to Rick Sanchez so that you can actually interact with him and finish the entry for number 12 in your NPC decks, or character decks. Now, the 13th NPC that we actually have in our character decks is known as Riot, and the reason that I've landed so far away from him is because this is one of the boss NPCs that you will actually find across the map. And basically, when you actually find one of these bosses, just like we had for the Guggimon, which I'm still calling him that, you will actually need to duel him in order to actually be able to interact with him to finish his character deck's entry. Now, the place to duel him is right to the east of Misty Meadows. I'll mark it exactly right over there. It's right in front of this yellow steel bridge, but basically, you can pause the video if you need to know exactly where that is. But we're actually going to go ahead and try and duel him. Now, he does actually carry a heavy AR, so if you do kill him in a standard game, obviously not a battle lab like I'm in right now, if you kill him in a standard game, he will actually drop a purple heavy AR, but since it's battle lab, obviously we're in solid gold, so they cannot drop purple weapons. But basically, now we can interact with Riot, and we can actually talk to him and have him do all of his standard NPC interactions. So he's got a mass supply drop, he can give us quests, and then also you can buy something from him. I'm not sure if this is actually a thing, but it's kind of glitchy in battle lab. That being said, what's not glitchy is the location that he's in. So all you need to know for this one is that for your 13th entry in your character decks, Riot is a boss NPC, and you will need to fight him over at the yellow steel bridge. Now moving on to the 14th NPC in the character decks, and this is Rook. Now, Rook is located right over at the dockside dish, and most of you probably don't know where that is because it is actually a new POI this season. Now, Rook will randomly spawn somewhere in here, and basically when you actually drop on down here, you're going to want to head inside this building and then interact with her, and then you will actually be able to register her to your character decks. That was a bit of a tongue twister, took me a few tries to say that, but now that I have, you know how to actually register your 14th character into your character decks. We only have 3 more to go now, which is absolutely crazy, so let's finish off strong and move on to number 15. For NPC 15, we have Special Forces. Yeah, that's literally his name, it's just Special Forces, and this guy is actually found over at Redacted. Now, for those who don't know, Redacted has been on the map for a while, and it's basically like the Save the World bunker that you actually enter during the beginning of the Save the World plotline, so we might actually see this thing get used at some point in the future, but for now, this is kind of like a cut-off storyline, but hey, maybe we'll actually get something happening with it now that we have an NPC known as Special Forces over here at it. So basically, once you actually drop on down here, all you need to do is interact with Special Forces. He can do a bunch of different stuff, and once you do, you can actually go ahead and register him to your character decks as NPC number 15. The penultimate NPC in our character decks is known as the Swamp Stalker, and basically, she is the 16th one that we will actually finish in our character decks. Now, her description says she's found at Slurpy Swamp, but that's a bit of a lie because she is found directly south of Slurpy Swamp. So if you actually go on down here, you can see exactly where that is. If you need to pause the video, then feel free to do that. But basically, you will come down right over here, and then you can interact with her right at this little hut to register her as the 16th NPC to your character decks. Now, for the final NPC, Dr. Slone, she's actually found over at Corny Complex, which is exactly where I am right now, but it seems that she doesn't actually spawn in Battle Lab, which kind of makes sense because you want to be able to fight her in-game. So, I'm gonna go head over into a real game, fight her, and then be right back with you guys. Okay, so it turns out that me being the great YouTuber I am, decided that I would want to accidentally turn off my recording software while I actually fought her, which is slightly awkward, but here's the footage of it in replay mode. Basically, how this fight works is that you will actually shoot at her, and once you begin shooting at her, she will split into multiple clones of herself. Just keep shooting the one with the health bar on it, and that is the real one. As you can see in the footage, I got her down first try without having to kill any of her clones, because it's fairly obvious just based off of which one actually has damaged health and which ones have full health, from the clone split. So basically, Dr. Slone is located at Corny Complex. You're going to need to go down to the basement of the middle barn, and then from there, you will find her, and you need to take on the boss fight and beat her, and then you will actually have her registered into your character decks as character number 17. So that is how to find every single character that is currently in the game as of the moment for your character decks. Obviously, character 2 is currently not in the game, and then also character 5, Bunker Jonesy, cannot be fully revealed just because he is going to be changing places for where he actually exists later in the season. But like I said, that is everything you can do in the character decks so far up until this point while I'm making this video. So if you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider leaving a like on it and subscribing to the channel, as that would help me out a ton. Also, consider popping in code Gumyoshi in the Fortnite item store if you have not bought your battle pass yet, or if you're going to be buying any of the item shop skins, as that would mean a ton to me. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you guys in the next one.